What's up, guys? Craig Mack here at Liberty Bell Beekeepers. The 2020 season has already started up for me. Today I went into hives for the first time and checked out 13 of my 26, and they're all doing really well, all really about the same place. For those of you that don't know, I run all nuke size boxes, all 5-frame boxes with medium supers. I did a couple videos before showing how I made the nuke boxes. I make mine out of plywood because I can get the most boxes out of one sheet of plywood. It's 4 per sheet, and that's the whole hive body plus a lid. Today's video is about the supers that I use on top of them. Like I said, I run all my colonies in 5-frame deeps, and I run almost all of them with a 5-frame medium super on top of them. And that's the basic hive size that I like and I'm comfortable with, and after research and talking with a bunch of people, that's the one that I decided to use. Some people use all mediums. That's fine. The 5-frame deep is the equivalent to an 8-frame medium. It's the same surface area, or very, very close to the same surface area as an 8-frame medium. I prefer the deeps just because for me the depth makes more sense, and you can interchange those frames, those brood frames, between any box I have if I'm running all my brood in deeps. But like I said, on top of that deep, I also put a 5-frame medium, and that's how I went into winter in 90% of my colonies. Almost all of them had a super. Not all of them did. I had, I think, 5. No, I'm sorry. I think I had 3 that went in without a medium super. 2 came out. I'm sorry, 2 died out. 1 made it through. So I'm in Philadelphia. I overwintered a 5-frame nuke all by itself here in Philly. So that gives you an idea that you don't have to have this giant box of honey and 200 pounds of honey for your bees and have 3 deeps full of bees to go into winter and think that they're all going to survive, because the chances are is you never know what's going to survive, but it doesn't have to be that way. You can keep them in much smaller colonies and get great successes. For me, as of right now, I went in with 30. I have 26 alive, March 4th, 2020. I'm pretty happy. I was expecting to probably lose half of them over this winter, and luckily I didn't. I got more than half. So all things being considered, I'm happy with the results so far. It's still a little bit early. We got a couple of weeks left, but the bees looked great today in my inspection, so I'm real thrilled with the way things are going. So I wanted to show tonight how I make my 5-frame mediums, because it's just part of the setup that I use, and I made videos for everything else. So here we go. So I have all the pieces laid out. I made all these cuts last night. I have all the pieces laid out, basically how it would look if this was a full sheet. Very simple and quick and easy to make these. There's only 3 separate sized parts. You have your 2 sides and your front or back, which are both the same size when it comes to these supers. Out of 1 sheet of plywood, you can get 10 supers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I usually start right to left because that's just the way my circular saw is set up. I use this circular saw with a rip guide to make almost all these cuts except for the cleats at the end. So I have 10 rows of sides, and that gives me half the front or backs that I need. So I had to make another 2 rips to get the remaining front and back pieces that I need. After that, it's 8 rips at 1.5 inches by 9. So I rip them all to 1.5 inches, and then I cut them down with a chop saw or a radial arm saw down to 9 inches. And then you put them together nice and easy. This one gets, as you can see here, I have one. This has been used. Came out of a dead out or a hive from last year, who knows at this point. But you see the 4 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it just gets 4 cleats. If you don't put this bottom cleat on, the box sits right along the back edge of the bottom cleat, and it could allow moisture or what have you in there. Like I said, I do use plywood. This box I just pulled inside. This was out for just about a year. It is plywood. It's 5-ply plywood. It's like $25 a sheet. And all I did was maybe, I think, 2 coats of fence and deck sealer on this. And as you can see, the plywood is not buckled. It hasn't bent. I did have some that did bend and belly a little bit, but honestly, I'm not overly concerned with that. They still sealed it shut. It didn't provide any difficulties in getting frames or anything out. It didn't bother me whatsoever. Now, I'll probably put another coat on these this year. Just because I know what the damage can be done in weather and sun. But all in all, I'm really happy with the way these came through, being weathered a full season. You always, maybe not always, but you hear people complain about using plywood because it ripples and it buckles. Well, both of these were outside all year, and with a simple coat of stain and sealer, they look great, and they're still working just fine, and honestly, the bees don't give a shit. So out of 1 sheet of plywood, you can make yourself 10 of these supers, these 5-frame medium supers. And, you know, you might not need 10, but like I said, I run my colonies in this size box. So this is my brood chamber. I didn't collect honey this year or last year. I didn't harvest any honey last year, but this year I am, and I'm going to put a queen excluder on top of this, and then put my 5 frames on top of it like you would any other super. Now, I'm also working with, you know, my hope is to be working with between 30 and 40 colonies this season, all using size boxes like this. Now, they're a little bit smaller and a little bit easier to manage, not quite as heavy, but there are more of them. So it's a trade-off between weight and between repetitive work. For me, this works out better for me in my situation. My bees are on the roof of this building, which is 25 feet up, and I have a dumbwaiter that goes into that hole right there that I use to haul my heavy equipment up and down. So for me, this size box just works better. I can put more on the dumbwaiter per trip than I could with the other size boxes. It's just what works best for me. You figure out your own system with what works best for you in your situation. There's so many different situations, so you have to really come up with your own game plan. The best way to do that, as I feel, is to take a look at everybody and what they do, and take little pieces of it from everybody and create success in your situation by using their methods and their help. So, like I said, there's my basic setup, my lid with the billboard vinyl, 5-frame medium super, and a 5-frame deep hive body. And there it is. And one more glimpse at this, at the sheet and the cut list, so you can take a good screenshot of that. And that'll give you all the necessary information that you need. I'm probably not going to do any videos of putting this thing together because you don't really have to watch me staple a box together to do this. It's really not that difficult. Anybody with a basic circular saw could make this on a set of sawhorses. I have a wood shop, so I have a table saw, and I have a radial arm saw, and I have all those things that make it easy for me to make 20 of these at a time. I cut 2 sheets at a time. So I have 20 medium super sitting here waiting to be put together. For me, that's easy. Not for everybody. Not everybody needs 20. I need 20 more. So that's just my situation. As always, I say have fun with your bees. Enjoy the experience of beekeeping. Enjoy making your own stuff, making your custom hives. Like if you take a look at this, I'm making this custom hive right here. This is a parking cone I acquired off the side of the road. And I'm still working on frames and getting all this together, and I got to put starter strips and all that kind of stuff in this, but I'm having a blast making these custom hives, using all kind of things I'm finding on the road and in dumpsters. and just really enjoying the experience of beekeeping. On top of, I'm also trying to build colonies and harvest honey. But I also want to have fun and see what the bees will do with something like this. Like, I'm pretty sure nobody's ever seen a beehive like that before. And I love building them, so I'm going to keep doing it. Have fun with your bees. Enjoy your 2020 season. I'll see you soon.